Before you stands a truth that has shaped every fortune ever created. Wealth begins in the mind, long before it appears in the world. The difference between those who rise to prosperity and those who remain bound by limitation is not luck, circumstance, or background. It is the discipline of thought. When your mind becomes fixed on a definite purpose, when you make a clear and unwavering decision about what you intend to achieve, you activate a power within you that responds like a loyal servant. It begins to organize your thoughts, your habits, your actions, and even the people around you, all working together to bring your vision into reality. You are not here by accident. You are here because somewhere within you is a quiet voice telling you that you are meant for more, and that voice is correct. The moment you direct your mind toward abundance, the moment you decide that prosperity is not a dream but an expectation, you awaken a force that has elevated countless ordinary individuals into extraordinary creators of wealth. What you think, you attract. What you expect, you prepare for. And what you prepare for inevitably becomes your destiny. Today, you are invited to shift from wishing to knowing, from hoping to deciding. Train your mind to think as millionaires think, clear in purpose, bold in belief, and relentless in pursuit. For when your thoughts and motions align with your deepest desires, the universe itself begins to rearrange in your favor. Your journey to wealth does not start with money. It starts with a single decision to master your mind. And that decision begins now. The mind is the master key that shapes every outcome in life, including wealth. And understanding this truth is the beginning of every great transformation a person can ever hope to experience. Every individual walking this earth carries within them a power that is far greater than their circumstances, their upbringing, or the limitations they were taught to believe. Yet most people live their entire lives without ever discovering that the greatest riches they seek are already present within the silent workings of their own thoughts. The mind is not a passive container. It is a living force, constantly molding the world around you to reflect the patterns you allow to dominate it. When a person learns to take ownership of their thoughts, when they begin to recognize that every idea held with conviction becomes a command issued to life itself, they unlock a potential that has shaped the fortunes of leaders, creators, and visionaries across every age. Wealth does not begin with the hands or the labor of the body. It begins with the quiet blueprint drawn in the imagination. The mind is the architect, and everything else, money, opportunity, people, circumstances, responds to the design it creates. A person who thinks in terms of limitation, fear, or scarcity unknowingly constructs barriers around themselves, preventing the flow of ideas and possibilities that could have changed their entire existence. Meanwhile, a person who thinks in terms of abundance, who dares to believe that there is more than enough wealth, opportunity, and success available in the world, awakens within themselves an energy that attracts resources, solutions, and connections as naturally as iron is drawn to a magnet. This is not magic. It is mental discipline applied with unwavering intention. Your mind obeys the thoughts you feed it, whether they lift you toward prosperity or pull you deeper into struggle. It does not question your beliefs. It simply builds upon them. When you declare that you are capable of wealth, that you are deserving of success, that your future is one of expansion rather than contraction, the mind begins to operate from a place of expectancy rather than doubt. It sharpens your awareness, revealing opportunities that were always present but invisible when you were focused on fear. It strengthens your confidence, allowing you to take steps most people avoid because they are too imprisoned by uncertainty. It energizes your actions so that the tasks you once resisted become effortless extensions of your purpose. This is the power of the mind at work, shaping your results in ways that may seem subtle at first, but eventually become undeniable. Many individuals believe wealth is reserved for the fortunate few, for those born into privilege or those who somehow stumble upon the right opportunity at the right time. But those who have studied the stories of self-made individuals know that their success was not the product of chance. It was the result of a mental pattern that remained focused on a clear vision, even when early progress seemed slow, even when the world offered no immediate evidence that their efforts would be rewarded. Their minds held the image of their desired future with such persistence that it became impossible for reality not to bend toward it. The same principle holds true for anyone who chooses to direct their thoughts with intention rather than allowing them to drift without purpose. When you recognize that every belief you hold, every habit of thought you entertain, every emotion you allow to linger, becomes a signal broadcast into the world, you begin to understand why some people rise with remarkable speed while others remain stagnant despite their effort. The mind is the starting point of every breakthrough. It is the source from which courage emerges, the engine that fuels discipline, the spark that ignites creativity. Ideas are born in the mind before they ever become inventions, businesses, opportunities, or income. If the mind is closed, fearful, or filled with doubt, ideas cannot flourish. But when the mind becomes open, confident, and directed, ideas multiply, expand, and evolve into forms that carry immense value. Think of the mind as fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, whether it is fear or faith, scarcity or abundance, limitation or possibility, will grow and multiply. If you plant the belief that wealth is unattainable, your mind will obediently shape your actions and perceptions to match that belief. You will overlook opportunities, underestimate your capabilities, and unconsciously sabotage your progress. But if you plant the belief that wealth is achievable, that you possess the capacity to create, contribute, and rise, your mind will begin to gather the resources needed to make that belief real. It will strengthen your imagination, deepen your resilience, and illuminate the path forward in ways that surprise you. To train the mind is to take control of the invisible forces that shape your visible results. It is to become aware of the thoughts that dominate your days and to replace the ones that weaken you with those that empower you. It is to recognize that the mind, when disciplined and dire,
CTD becomes the greatest asset you will ever possess,
capable of producing ideas worth more than any inheritance or stroke of luck. Wealth is not something you chase. It is something you cultivate from within. And the cultivation begins with the mind. Every great fortune begins with a definite purpose backed by unshakable belief. And this principle is held true across every generation, every industry, and every story of remarkable success. Nothing of lasting value has ever been created by accident or through vague wishing. The people who rise from ordinary circumstances into extraordinary achievement all share one common foundation. They know exactly what they want, and they believe with unwavering certainty that they will obtain it. A definite purpose is not a casual hope or a half-hearted desire. It is a clear, specific, deeply rooted intention that becomes the guiding force of your life. When a person fixes their mind on a purpose so clear that it becomes impossible to ignore, every thought, decision, and action begins to organize itself around that vision. The mind thrives on direction, and when you give it a purpose, you give it a target that pulls you forward like a magnet. Most people never define what they truly want, and because of that, they drift through life reacting instead of creating, settling instead of rising, wishing instead of building. They may carry dreams within their hearts, but dreams without direction fade into the background of daily distractions. A definite purpose demands that you articulate your desire not only with clarity, but with commitment. It requires you to say, "This is what I intend to accomplish," and to hold that intention as firmly as a captain holds the compass that guides their ship through uncertain waters. The strength of purpose does not depend on your current resources, your background, or the challenges you face. It depends solely on your willingness to make a decision so firm that it becomes part of your identity. When your purpose is clear, belief becomes the engine that drives it forward. Belief is not blind optimism nor unrealistic fantasy. It is the inner certainty that what you desire is attainable and that you are capable of achieving it. It is the mental permission slip that allows you to stretch beyond your fear, your doubt, and the limitations imposed by your past experiences. Without belief, even the strongest purpose remains powerless. But with belief, even the most daunting goals transform into possibilities waiting to be realized. Belief fuels persistence when progress is slow. It ignites creativity when obstacles appear. It strengthens your resolve when others doubt or misunderstand your vision. It becomes the quiet voice within you that says, "Continue," even when the world gives you every reason to quit. People often underestimate the power of belief because they cannot see it or measure it. Yet every achievement in history is proof of its force. Belief shapes your world from the inside out. When you believe deeply in your purpose, your mind begins to operate on a different level. You become more alert to opportunities aligned with your goals. You recognize connections and patterns that others overlook. You develop a resilience that allows you to withstand setbacks without losing momentum. You find yourself taking actions with greater confidence, and confidence itself becomes a magnet that draws support, resources, and ideas toward you. Belief creates movement. Movement creates progress, and progress, no matter how small, reinforces your belief even further. A person with a definite purpose and unshakable belief is a force that cannot easily be stopped. History shows time and time again that individuals who lacked resources, education, or social advantage have risen to remarkable heights solely because they dared to define what they wanted and believed completely in their ability to attain it. Their belief was so strong that it influenced the minds of others, drawing partners, mentors, investors, and supporters who became part of the unfolding vision. Purpose backed by belief is contagious. It inspires those around you to see possibilities instead of limitations. Yet many people surrender their dreams at the first sign of difficulty, not because their purpose was impossible, but because their belief was fragile. Challenges will always arise. Doubt will always whisper. Life will always test your commitment. But these tests are not signals to stop. They are invitations to strengthen the foundation of your purpose. When your belief stands firm in the face of adversity, you prove to your own mind that your desire is not a fleeting wish, but a true intention. And once the mind is convinced of your seriousness, it begins to align every internal and external force needed for your success. A definite purpose gives direction. Belief gives power. Together they ignite a level of determination that can transform an ordinary person into someone capable of extraordinary achievement. When you decide what you want and believe deeply that it is yours to claim, you awaken a force within yourself that has shaped every great fortune ever created. Thoughts, when mixed with emotion and persistence, become a magnetic force that attracts opportunity. And this truth explains why some individuals seem to draw success toward themselves, while others struggle endlessly despite equal effort. The thought by itself is a simple spark, a fleeting moment of imagination that passes through the mind like a breeze. But when a thought becomes charged with emotion, when it is felt deeply, believed intensely, and held with unwavering attention, it transforms into something far more powerful. It becomes a vibration, a frequency that the world cannot help but respond to. Emotion gives thought its weight, and persistence gives it its direction. Together they turn mere ideas into forces that shape the world around you. Every achievement begins in the mind, but not every thought becomes a reality. The thoughts that shape your future are the ones you hold with conviction, the ones you nurture with feeling, the ones you revisit day after day until they become part of your identity. When you emotionally engage with an idea, when you feel the excitement, the desire, the hunger for what you want, your mind starts working at a higher level of creativity and awareness. You begin to notice possibilities that were invisible before. You interpret challenges differently. You move toward your goals with a sense of direction that others cannot understand because you are being guided by something deeper than logic alone. Emotion fuels the imagination in ways that pure intellect never can. Persistence is the companion emotion needs in order to turn thoughts into reality. Without persistence, even the strongest emotional desire fades as obstacles arise. But when persistence joins forces with emotion, something extraordinary happens. Your thought becomes fixed. It becomes part of your everyday consciousness. It becomes a command that your mind is compelled to follow. The people who create wealth, the people who revolutionize industries, the people who rise from nothing to greatness are not those who merely entertain ambitious thoughts. They are those who hold those thoughts with such persistence that failure becomes nothing more than a temporary pause. They press forward when others retreat. They remain focused when others become distracted. They hold their mental picture so firmly that life eventually conforms to it. Thoughts mixed with emotion and persistence produce a magnetic pull that shapes your environment. You begin to attract people who can help you. You stumble upon ideas, resources, or solutions at moments that feel almost too perfect to be coincidence. You find yourself at the right place at the right time more often. These are not accidents. They are the natural consequences of directing your mind toward a purpose with an emotional intensity and consistency strong enough to influence your decisions, behaviors, and opportunities. As you think and feel more intensely about something you desire, you unconsciously evolve into the type of person who is capable of achieving it. And when you evolve, the world responds. This magnetic force also has the power to repel the things that hinder you. Just as you attract opportunities that align with your dominant thoughts, you also push away situations that conflict with them. People who no longer match your vision drift out of your life. Habits that contradict your goals begin to feel uncomfortable. Your environment reshapes itself around your new mental state. This is why those who adopt a wealthy mindset begin to naturally distance themselves from negativity, doubt, and excuses. Their minds can no longer tolerate thoughts that weaken the emotional charge behind their purpose. Many people underestimate the power of emotion, treating it as something separate from success, but emotion is the engine of all human action. No one ever pursued greatness out of boredom. No one ever built something meaningful from a place of apathy. Desire is the foundation of ambition, and emotion is the substance from which desire is formed. When you infuse your thoughts with emotion, you give them life. When you reinforce those thoughts with persistence, you give them direction. And when you maintain that combination long enough, the world begins to shift around you in ways that seem almost unbelievable to those who do not understand these principles. This magnetic quality of thought is why people who expect prosperity tend to find it, why those who live with a clear emotional vision attract support, and why individuals who maintain faith in their purpose ultimately rise above circumstances that defeat others. Their thoughts are charged, alive, and unwavering. They are not merely thinking about success, they are feeling it, experiencing it mentally long before it becomes physical, and the world reflects that inner experience back to them. Your mind is constantly broadcasting thoughts shaped by your emotions and reinforced by your persistence. Those broadcasts attract their own kind. If you fill your mind with thoughts of limitation mixed with fear and reinforced with worry, you will draw experiences that confirm those beliefs. But if you fill your mind with thoughts of possibility mixed with genuine desire and reinforced with persistence, you create a magnetic force that opens doors, draws people to you, and shapes circumstances in your favor. A thought alone is a seed, but a thought combined with emotion and persistence becomes a destiny already set in motion. Wealth is never accidental. It is the result of disciplined thinking and deliberate action, and this truth separates those who rise steadily toward prosperity from those who remain trapped in cycles of uncertainty. People often look at the success of others and assume that luck, timing, or external advantages were the primary forces behind their ascent. But if you look closely at any lasting achievement, you will not find randomness at its core. You will find patterns, habits of mind, habits of behavior, and habits of decision-making that were built carefully and maintained consistently. Wealth responds to order, not chaos. It responds to intention, not indecision. It comes to those who are prepared for it long before it arrives. Disciplined thinking is the foundation upon which all wealth is built. It is the ability to control the direction of your mind, rather than allowing circumstances, fear, or distractions to dictate your thoughts. A disciplined thinker recognizes the immense power of focus and guards it like a treasure. They do not allow their mind to wander into doubt when faced with difficulty. They do not allow the opinions of others to weaken their belief in what is possible. They do not waste mental energy on trivial matters that contribute nothing to their goals. Instead, they direct their thoughts with intention, choosing clarity over confusion, purpose over passivity, and possibility over limitation. This form of thinking does not develop overnight. It is trained through repetition, strengthened through awareness, and sharpened through reflection. Each time you catch yourself dwelling on scarcity and deliberately redirect your mind toward abundance, you build mental strength. Each time you replace a fearful thought with a confident one, you fortify your inner world. Each time you refuse to surrender to discouragement and choose determination instead, you shape your mindset into one that becomes fertile soil for wealth. Disciplined thinking is simply the act of repeatedly choosing thoughts that support your purpose rather than those that weaken it. Deliberate action is the companion to disciplined thinking. It is the physical expression of your internal resolve. Thought alone, no matter how powerful, cannot produce outcomes without action that supports it. But action without direction becomes wasted effort. When disciplined thinking guides deliberate action, you move with a sense of clarity and intention that amplifies every step you take. You begin to work on the right things at the right moments, and your actions align with the